Welcome back. The break was as interesting as the contributions during the show. Let's continue with the latest in Western region in the country, where ODM leader Raila Odinga says no one can lock him out of the Western region in the quest to promote his agenda, promising to find a way to revive the ailing sugar sector. As he began his tour of the region, Raila blamed ANC leaders for frustrating efforts by the government to revive the Mumias Sugar Company. Western leaders who attended the meeting insisting the Luhya community will not vote for their own but will support Raila because of his ideology. In a quick rejoinder, ANC demanded that Odinga's meetings be stopped as they are likely to spread the coronavirus. Willie Lisige with this report.
Even though ODM party leader Raila Odinga hasn't declared his candidature for the 2022 presidency, his raft of meetings and policy pronouncement in recent days is a clear indication that he will be on the ballot. From meeting boda operators to business communities, Raila embarked on a two-day tour of Western region, holding Azimio la Umoja meeting and a political rally in Kakamega town. Amani. Odinga firing salvos at his Western opponents who had initially threatened to block him from hosting meetings in the region.
Mimi nafunga mkoa magharibi, ati baba siingie mkoa magharibi, yeye ni nani? Naweza kuzungumza nisikuje Kakamega? Mimi nikija hapa narudi nyumbani.
The ODM leader said that no one can lock him out of Western region and that he'll be touring the region often to popularize his 2022 agenda.
Hii ni kama ile mto Nile imetoka Jinja inaelekea Mediterranean. Hakuna chochote naweza kuizuia. Nitatangaza hivi karibuni tu. Mimi nikiona kama nyinyi mnakubali nitaangalia sasa. Mnakubali? Nataka niendelee.
Odinga blaming Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala for frustrating efforts to revive the ailing Mumias Sugar Company by blocking an investor who had wanted to revive the farm under receivership.
Kwenda kwa bunge kusimamisha hiyo. Maana yake amepewa rushwa.
In the Azimio la Umoja meeting that brought on board leaders from different political parties, the delegates cutting across major parties in the region, including ANC, Jubilee and Ford Kenya, said it was time for the country to have the presidency shift from the two dominant tribes that have held it since independence.
Haijakuwa safari rahisi, lakini mimi najiunga tena kwa kusema wakati sasa ni sasa. Hakuna nafasi nzuri ya sisi kuweza kutimiza ndoto zetu kuliko wakati huu.
On the elusive Luhya unity, Western leaders present vowed to fully support Raila's presidency, firing salvos at other Western leaders interested in the presidency and warning that the Mlembe nation will not vote on tribal basis.
Wacha hao wana chuna watu. Papa chukua chakula tumeweka kwa mesa, wamekunyang'anya chakula miaka mingi sana.
Kama wewe utaketi useme criteria yako ya kuchagua kiongozi ni mtu ambaye alizaliwa na wewe, there is a problem with you.
Tunaunga Raila Amolo Odinga mkono, wanasema sisi si Waluhya. Ukiangalia hakuna mahali wanaenda. Wataanza kutembea humuhumu wakisema sisi Waluhya, tuje pamoja. Sisi Waluhya. Na hawa wameketi hapa si Waluhya.
Leaders calling on other political parties to either join hands with the ODM or perish politically.
Wakenya wanahitaji meli kubwa ambaye hiyo Oka inaingia ndani, Jubilee inaingia ndani. Nani amebaki? Ford Kenya ingia ndani.
The energetic Odinga insisting that the last time he was on the ballot, he failed to bag the presidency, but he's charged more than before to get the ultimate prize, and no community owes politicians political debt.
We change the regime and we get there and hold the power.
Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala, on a quick rejoinder, blamed the government for banning political gathering and allowing Raila to host his meetings.
Mumeona ameenda Kisumu kule Nyanza mara 5 na rais akipeleka kule maendeleo. Hajai kuja hapa Western kuleta maendeleo. Leo ndio amerudi kuleta siasa. Ile kulikuwa na mashujadi kule Kisumu, mulileta corona mingi sana hapa Western region. Tena ninaona tena hizi ziara zenyu zinaleta corona. So sisi tunataka kuambia wananchi wasusie mikutano yoyote ambayo inaleta watu.
Odinga's two-day Western tour will end on Sunday before proceeding to Kajiado to meet the Maa community and later to Mombasa. Leaders of Western region who attended this meeting have vowed to support Raila Odinga's presidential ambition, saying it's high time that the Mulembe nation should not consider their own but consider future development in this region. They believe that Raila Odinga will be the one who will champion for the revival of the ailing sugar sector. Will KTN News, Kakamega.
Okay, many thanks, Willie Lusige. More details of which he'll update us of in terms of today's political developments. Gentlemen, even though we might share divergent views, I think this looks like political gatherings and we need to castigate what is simply an obstruction to the authority in one way or the other. But as you add your voice, gentlemen, I'll begin with you, Dismas. It's interesting what's happening in Mulembe. Time and time again, we've talked about the Mulembe nation unity. It seems to be a dream that might not come into reality, if anything is to go by. Well, what's your take on that?
Now, before you discuss the Mulembe nation, let's look at COVID. The President and the Minister for Interior, as well as the Minister for Health, have issued orders that bar this kind of political meetings. And when you have Raila Odinga and Governor Oparanya disobeying these orders and having that huge political rally, it's unacceptable for several reasons. Nobody wants to have Raila Odinga sick from COVID. You remember that at the time when he had COVID, there was a bit of national tension. Nobody wants Raila Odinga to get COVID and go to bed. Number two, the poor masses there who have been subjected to COVID, at least for Raila Odinga, in the unlikely event that he gets COVID, he will get a level 1 medical attention. Now for Nafula and Mark Bichache's relatives, probability of them dying is almost 100% because they will not access any medical support. That one we must call them out. Number two, Raila Odinga says he's going back home and he's not been there for a long time. But when you look at his support from the Mulembe nation, is beginning to wane. And that one can be confirmed by the last two by-elections in Matungu and Kabuchai, where his candidates were walloped by Oka. But in my view, what we must encourage Kenyans is to have as many candidates as possible. If the Mulembe nation is going to produce 40 presidential candidates, let them come to the table. If Central Kenya is going to produce 40, Kisii is going to produce 40, let them come to the table so that we look at the ideas. In my view, the more the merrier. And you have to keep on going to this best practice you had the other day from the Estonian president who said, just come up with the ideas. Even if the ballot paper is going to have 100 presidential candidates, we'll weigh them. But as we stand now, if the last by-election is anything to go by, then Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula are ahead of the game.
Okay. Hezbollah, we'll add your voice to this because it seems many might be walking away from the ethnic balkanization angle, and perhaps this is why the entrance of ODM leader Raila Odinga into Western might portend a couple of issues with the presidency ambition of Musalia Mudavadi. Others might tend to agree. Do you think this might cause jitters in One Kenya alliance, or perhaps it's one and the same thing?
Well, of course, it has to cause jitters in One Kenya alliance, for the simple reason that if you look at the last by-elections in the Western region, one was in Matungu, in Kakamega, and then the other one was in Kabuchai in Bukusuland. And the performance, by ODM was fairly respectable. In as much as they didn't win, they did fairly well. And then what Matungu meant for Musalia was consolidation of the Western, of his stronghold. What Kabuchai meant to Wetangula was consolidation of his stronghold, and that was supposed to cement, the strength of Oka in as far as locking Raila out was concerned. But just like I said, Mount Kenya region is only important to that presidential candidate who will retain his traditional support. And Raila has enjoyed, unequivocal support in the Western region, in the entirety of the Western region. And I think that is what Raila is demonstrating, that he still has that support. And I can tell you, in any electioneering period, the candidate who seems to be having a solid support from his backyard gets that galvanizing effect from the regions where he's not strong. Because the regions that you are quoting would first of all look at, do you have something substantive? And if you have something substantive, then they would have a reason to support you because you have a higher chance of winning. And I think that consolidation is as important for Raila Odinga today as the coating of the Mount Kenya region. But I think having said that, there are other two things that are emerging. First is the COVID-19 issue, and this cuts across the entire political spectrum, that there is a sense in which two laws seems to apply to Kenyans. There are Kenyans who can have these big gatherings, and there are Kenyans who cannot. And then number three, the third thing that comes to the fore is the fact that, the whole idea of Oka and them coming together, breaking away from NASA seems to have been, a blatant mistake by Oka. Okay. Why am I saying so? One, the moment they left NASA, we thought that they would have a formidable, pathway and direction to tell us who is going to be their leader and who is going to be the running mate. And there is a sense in which they're delaying, they're tiptoeing on that. And they're better off learning from the NAC of 2002 that decided we are going to create a pathway. Kibaki is going to be our leader. Wamalwa Kijana is going to be the second in command, and Charity Ngilu will support them. It became easy for other political formations to join them. But you look at the pussyfooting in Oka, and you know that this is an outfit that has no direction. All right. And I think what Raila is doing right now is demonstrating to all and sundry that the efforts by Oka leaders to move beyond their strongholds to look for other votes is an exercise in futility, because even in their backyards, they seem to be fairly shaky. And that is what we are seeing. All right, I would expect, rather than Oka leaders complaining, I would expect them to also go to Raila's strongholds and demonstrate to us how they can penetrate those strongholds. Because no one should balkanize this country. No one.
Okay, well noted. Let's bring the point home. Play of words right here. Anyway, so much focus on Mulembe. Let's talk about the impact on One Kenya Alliance. Will the center hold at the end of the day? Because that's a big question.
I think the realities of Kenyan politics today is we find ourselves in a very weird circumstance in general. We have a deputy president who is in opposition and lives in cabinet. And he says he doesn't work, but he goes to cabinet every time. Then he has meetings to campaign under UDA as a deputy party leader of Jubilee. Then you've got Raila Odinga, who's supposedly in government from outside government, and he is supposed to have a traditional base, but try to reach into the non-traditional bases, as well as it into One Kenya Alliance, and try to get some form of movement in Central. At the same time, you've got One Kenya Alliance, who seem to be waiting, like Isaac did for a wife. You sit at home, then Daddy Dearest will send for a wife from home, and all you have to do is walk into your marriage. And this whole perspective, when you look at it, is very confusing. Okay. And this confusion is the reason why you see Raila making the moves that he is making. Because his main concern is to show indeed to himself and to the country that with or without the One Kenya Alliance, he can make it. But the One Kenya Alliance is also very heavily reliant on a Raila Odinga who's not running, a Raila Odinga who endorses them and probably even funds them. They're also reliant on the same from Uhuru Kenyatta. So then you've got the person of the deputy president who, of course, has the Kalenjin rift, lock, stock and barrel locked behind him. But you've seen also people like Moses Kuria seeming to pull rank and say we've got the same kind of measurement. So like we said before, this is a marathon. And we are seeing the different groupings and who is going to be the top runners. So the best advice I would give to everybody who's watching is tuliza boli wanja mdogo. There are those who will chest thump, but those of us who are wise will know to realize that it is time to sit Remove what is the propaganda, remove what is the hype, and then ask yourself, what has Raila done since 1980?
Okay.
What has William Ruto done since 1980? What has Kalonzo Musyoka done since 1980? What has Mudavadi done since 1980? Vote on that basis. Don't vote based on this Firirinda thing they're doing for you.
Why is 1980 the basis, the reference point?
No, I'm just saying that most of them have been in politics since the 80s.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Dennis, add your voice to that. But we also have to talk about what's happening in Kirinyaga County. We had Anne Waiguru come through with a couple of remarks, perhaps centered on the politicization of the fight against corruption. Is this just it, or she's crying foul, as simple as that, from where you sit?
Thank you very much. Allow me to start on the OCA. And of course, what Raila is doing is basically being his traditional himself, the autocracy or the dictator, as we should say. But let me tell you something. Raila is about to repeat the same mistake he did in 1997 when he ran alone. And he got a mega 600K votes. Never has he ever amalgamated anything more than that alone. So his illusion or encouragement that he has government resources and he's the Jubilee blue-eyed boy for endorsement, and he thinks he doesn't need Musalia Mudavadi, or he doesn't need Kalonzo, or he doesn't need Wetangula at the end of the day, is a fallacy that he's been encouraged at the end of the day to embrace.
But who needs who there?
And I think Raila Odinga needs them more because he has attempted to run alone and he got votes less than a Nairobi governor at the end of the day back in 1997. But this is the interesting thing. Even OCA themselves, they have no idea who is their leader. They have no manifesto. And them, even including ODM, are depending on a party that is folding up, Jubilee, because President Uhuru Kenyatta is transitioning. So who is going to lead Jubilee in itself? The deputy president has already transitioned to UDA. So Jubilee has folded or thereabout because anyway, they are not delivering any of their big four, agreed promises to Kenyans. So then it means that Raila Odinga traditionally would never agree to submit to anyone as a running mate.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
But he can't gather anything nationally without a coalition because his party has collapsed to a regional party. It's a Nyanza party. And when you look at Nyanza where, at the end of the day, you'll be able to see where. So the truth of the fact is that, I'm banking this on facts.
Okay.
And Mark has reminded us, let us look at that future.
But it's
and
a
that's
fact
the future
ODM
that
is
I'm
a
looking
national
for.
party. I beg to differ with you there.
In the last election, it is true. But consistently, ODM has this ability of collapsing what is good. You remember the transition from the rainbow movement all the way to now a party that is owned privately. That is it's a fact.
Okay,
And that's what we're saying. And it looks like it's been a vicious cycle for political parties in the country. Look at where Jubilee is. Jubilee is hardly 5 years old, whatever it is that we're talking. But speaking about Kirinyaga.
Briefly, 30. Yeah.
It's the same disease that JB Muturi has. You understand? Because they've realized that the base has shifted to the deputy president.
Okay.
And having that base shifted, they have looked at the journey that Jubilee have taken the deputy president. A journey of insults, a journey of a meta, a journey of ensuring that all the roles that this man would have had, the budget and everything of the sort has been taken away from him. And he has been taken through a humiliating journey and he has been made to be the most formidable candidate that this country requires as a president. And so they have looked at him and wondered, perhaps this is the journey that we desire. While in the evening, they sit in plush hotels with the system and laugh at what they spoke into the media.
Okay.
So a lot of these guys, they are trying to victimize themselves and sponsor self-sponsored hatred to try and look like metas and victims. But believe me, it's money from their pockets that is, enticing this kind of victimization.
Dismiss as we finalize a footnote.
Yeah, just 2 quick points. ODM is a national party. ODM cannot be a regional party.
Okay.
The ODM party leader, Raila Odinga, is not a dictator. And then the interesting bit is, how come the Tanga fellas, they want to craft and execute their competition strategy? Why would they be worried that Oka or Raila Odinga has not declared presidency, that is not rolling out a campaign which is aligned to COVID. I mean, why would they be worried? For instance, one of the panelists has said that Musalia Mudavadi and Kalonzo and Wetangula should invade the Raila turf. Which Raila turf is this? And then, why would he want a campaign today which is against COVID protocols?
Okay.
You know, these are some of the things that we must point out.
Allow us to take a break. Gentlemen, just hold on to your thoughts. We definitely want to hear from our viewers, and that's why we're taking a break. Right after, we'll get to get your live calls just to add your voice on the various topical points we've had. The number is currently displayed on your screen. As you can see, feel free to reach out and interrogate some of the matters this gentleman have brought forth. Allow us to take a short break on that matter. When we come back, your call. Stay with us.